Hi, this is Travis from the Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this clip on the Political Voices Network.
What Trump screeches about the most, where the legal peril seems to be coming from first, and it appears to be the documents case, right? Not just because of legal developments, but he has been all over screeching about what Joe Biden did, but clearly his lawyer leaving is significant, right? I mean, but how would we know if he has left because he's become a witness in obstruction? Let's start with that.
Okay. By the way, very observant on your part, because often people say, "Yeah, let's just ignore Trump. He'll just say anything." But you're right. He's reactive, and if you sift through the wails and screams, you can learn something. Okay, so it's a little bit like looking in his diaper to see what he's eaten, I guess. So
Legally, yes.
How would you
And so
know?
this morning we're at corn. When did I have corn?
Oh, stop it.
What?
Exactly. I mean, you wouldn't exactly, and I think we're talking here about, we've got both Georgia happening and Smith. So the documents and those 16 ones from the archives do seem pretty significant. But it's funny. This is a black box, and you get these little vibes or Trump hints that are coming out, and we can't say for certain, but it is clear that both Fani Willis in particular is really getting a lot of cooperating witnesses by giving them immunity. Less certain about Smith, but just briefly on the docs you asked about, it's clear that they're a series of memorization. Is that what the lawyers say? Of conversations where he's told by highest advisors, "No, you can't do that. No, you can't magically wave your wand," etc. Right. To my mind, Smith has long since had been over the top on the evidence of guilty intent. And so this, when you have some of these breathless reactions to it, it's really just cumulative. On the other hand, we've got to expect, and it's only smart for him to use the grand jury for all it's worth, because once the grand jury votes a return, it's a very important investigative tool that you can no longer use. So he's piling it on, and these latest documents, I think, are very solid evidence that he was told.
Yeah, and we just played, what is his name? Jim, what's his name? Parlatori, throwing Boris Epstein under the bus, saying he interfered, or he tried to stop us from searching Bedminster. I mean, what do you think why do you think he stepped down? Do you sense that he has had to become a cooperating witness, or what do you think is happening there?
Well, so merely having, let me just say about Epstein, by the way, we knew already. I mean, on a whole separate level, you have an incredibly dysfunctional group of Trump lawyers and a trail of skid marks from them being thrown under the bus, not paid, etc. Yeah. But Epstein kind of inserted himself and wanted to boss everyone around. We knew that already, but now it really hits home. I look, there is a real possibility that they've been in touch with them, and you cannot be a witness and a lawyer in the same proceeding. But there's also a possibility that he's just had it up to here. And between those two, without knowing a little more, and I think we will know a little more things that people have a way of, like, did you see Ty Cobb last
Well, I just
week?
was going to read your tweet. You said even former Trump lawyer Ty Cobb now predicting Trump will be indicted, convicted, and sentenced to prison in the documents case. He was
those were in real words on Aaron Burnett, but I'm just saying former Trump lawyers tend to be embittered and a little garrulous. So we may find out some more, but if Smith has reached out to a lawyer there, and they have come to understand they're going to be a witness, their proper professional posture is to keep quiet. So
well, now let's talk about Georgia, because you said yes, it seems a pretty safe bet Georgia versus Donald Trump will be coming our way in August, but don't forget the other 15 or more defendants that the special grand jury recommended indicting, including Rudy Giuliani and Mark Meadows. It's going to be a behemoth criminal case. That is, and as we were saying, the delay also could be, as you were saying, they keep uncovering, more and more people are cooperating in terms of the fraudulent electors, right? And then you said now the Fulton County judge showing impatience with Trump refusing to permit another brief in his premature motion to scuttle Fani Willis's prosecution. So, everything points to early August, doesn't it?
It really does. And it's interesting. You wouldn't normally announce when you're bringing an indictment, but Trump here, it is, because of the turmoil he brings in his wake. We saw this in E. Jean Carroll, where he had to say prematurely whether he was going to testify or not. She has her folks wearing bulletproof vests. She's reached out to the FBI, and she's taking seriously the attacks on her from Trump,
Yeah.
racist, primitive, etc., and from potentially the Proud Boys and the like. So we have that preview. And I also, the grand jury that is going to indict him, or that she expects is going to indict him, hasn't even begun to sit yet. So that's kind of telling that she's
Yeah.
counting her defendants before they're hatched. And all we have to go on now, all she has to go on now, is the special report that she got before, and that we do know from the four persons, 15-minute
Yeah.
fame tour. Has, you're right, a ton of Georgia people just in the Georgia elector scheme, many of whom are getting immunity, meaning they're going to talk against the most culpable. And Mark Meadows, it looks like, Rudy Giuliani. So that's the case she was building. No reason to think she's building a different case. And just finally on the Trump thing, he's tried to attack it before the charges have even been brought, premature, no legal basis, and the judge is saying, enough is enough. He asked
Yeah.
to do a whole nother brief on it, Judge. I have enough, thank you.
Yeah. So,
He is as always, I think, is not endearing himself to judges that he has to really worry about.
yeah, let's talk about Weisselberg for a minute. You said fresh from his release from Rikers, Weisselberg now apparent subject of two separate criminal inquiries by Bragg, one for insurance fraud, one for perjury, all to apply pressure for him to testify versus Trump in the Bragg case. That's prosecutorial hardball. My question to you is, will it work, do you think?
And that's up to Alan Weisselberg. Man, think about it for a second. 75-year-old guy, loyal forever, did time at Rikers. You ever been to Rikers? It is
I have not.
hellhole.
You'll be surprised to know.
I have, as a lawyer, by the way.
Yeah.
And
Thanks.
it's not fun. He did several months, and now he's out. How much can one loyal man take? So they have a possible, strikes me not so easy, but he's got to be a little nervous, perjury count, and the insurance fraud might be solid. So will he crack? I mean, is he gonna be visiting Rikers Island in and out for the next 5 years? It's so we saw him stand up and not cooperate against Trump before. Can he do it again? How much can one 75-year-old accountant take?
Yeah, exactly. Loved your column. Why Special Counsel John Durham's report took so long to say so little. You said rarely has a government report taken so long in years and pages to tell the public so little as John Durham's report to the DOJ this week. You just said it's tempting to dismiss the report as a long-winded attempt to justify his abysmal record as a special counsel. You said, unfortunately, Durham's handiwork might not be as benign as it is insubstantial. The report will serve, indeed looks designed to serve, the toxic, false, far-right narrative that deep state law enforcement agencies were out to get Trump. It's sort of a time bomb set in 2019 to go off now as the 2024 campaign gets started. We just played a soundbite, I'm not kidding, of Jim Jordan saying Maria Bartiromo suggested that he go after the Clintons based on something in the Durham report. I mean, I feel like, as you talked about, what did you say? You said Jordan's hearing with self-described FBI whistleblowers is comically deficient and stacked, starting with the point that they're not even whistleblowers. That blew up in his face. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a joke that he's going to go after the Clintons. Nothing else seems to have worked.
There's no distinguishing between joke, farce, and earnestness with this crowd. And, the more I think about the Durham report stuff, it's a disgrace. It's not just all of that. And as you say, it's got some purchase now with Jordan. It immediately had some with DeSantis, who has to fall in line, and of course with Trump. But his lookout, his mission was to explain to the Attorney General why he decided to prosecute things and why he decided to decline. So the entire 315 page or whatever it is, all, which are all these like snipes at the initiation of the investigation into Russia, asterisk, which of course they had to do with credible information that Russia and a Trump campaign was consorting. We got that from our ally. It has nothing to do with his whole report. So it really is. That's what I mean by design. It's just to give these red meat talking points. And, the people who hear it, you've been in polite discussions with Trump supporters by now, I'm sure. And they don't. It's not very nuanced. It's just, well, look what the special counsel said. So it just puts, more misinformation into the public record.
As you put it on Twitter, you said, although it provides zero new of substance, the Durham report, quote, ensures the new momentum for wild-eyed theories that misinform the public, aggravate our partisan divide, and provide fodder for Trump's effort to reprise our most dangerous presidency.
Wow, that's pretty good for 280. Okay.
Nicely
you
done,
don't have
sir.
Sound effects, I guess. Right? Yeah.
Also, I'm totally using the legally seeing what's inside Trump's diaper as a way of reading the legal tea leaves. It is hard to say, right? I guess we seem to have a time frame on the Bonnie Willis thing, but you're right, Jack Smith. Like, who knows? I mean, the other wild card I have in my head is about January 6th. About prosecution for the insurrection,
which he's clearly going after, but is so much more sprawling. But let's get back to Jack Smith, because it's been clear people haven't been wrong about this, and I include me here. He's in an end game. He's been in an end game since Mike Pence has testified. But talk about a case where you want to use the grand jury for ribbon, bows, staples, and everything you can. When you have a grand jury, it's not just to do charges, but you can investigate, serve subpoenas, get all the information, make sure whoever will testify at trial, what they're going to say. And it's as between a week from now or 6 weeks from now, it's very hard for us to say, because it has to do with Smith's prosecutorial judgment of how much he might need in insurance. And so I think we're all correct in thinking it's an end game. I analogize it. My kids have introduced me to soccer, and when you're in that overtime, you don't even know how much time is left.
Yeah,
that's how it kind of feels to me. It's coming soon, 1 week, 6 weeks, who can say?
I love the cartoon of Trump in prison going, "I want my lawyers," and then in the next window, "We're right here."
Right. Exactly.
Because the lawyer Jim, who we just talked about, Parlatore, attributed his decision to leave to strategy disagreements. I'm going to guess like the Trump team thought obstruction was a good strategy and he didn't. So,
right, well,
we shall see.
These guys are really pushed. This is what happens to the Tide clubs. They want to rehabilitate their reputation after, because they've had to go in front of courts and give positions that have just gotten them excoriated. And they have futures, and being with Trump, everything Trump touches dies, no more so than his legal team.
Can I just say, whatever's in Trump's diaper legally, it's orange and it's disgusting.
Oh,
you're a parent, you know what I mean.
Oh, stop it.
Republicans say they won't cut Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid. But can honest, hard-working middle-class Americans really believe what these politicians say? Republicans said they wouldn't overturn Roe v. Wade. Here's what Supreme Court Justices Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Coney Barrett said during their Senate confirmation hearings.
Roe v. Wade. It is a precedent of the United States Supreme Court. A good judge will consider it as precedent of the United States Supreme Court.
Roe v. Wade. It's settled as a precedent of the Supreme Court.
Roe is not a super precedent, but that doesn't mean that Roe should be overruled.
Well, we saw how that turned out. They played us for fools. Tell your elected officials to keep their hands off of our Social Security and health care benefits. Fool me once. Let Majority Rule was responsible for this message. LetMajorityRule.org is a project of the Marvin Lucas Super PAC, which is responsible for and paid for this ad and is not affiliated with or authorized by any political campaign or candidate or candidates committee.